Silly season is here, and as usual, it did not disappoint. Where do we begin? Sebastian Vettel has officially announced his retirement, Fernando Alonso is leaving Alpine to take his place, and now there's all this drama with Oscar Piastri, Daniel Ricciardo, and McLaren. So, will Daniel Ricciardo be let go by McLaren to make way for Piastri, or will Alpine be able to keep him? We think we have some answers, so stay with us and we'll fill you in. Following Fernando Alonso's surprise decision to join Aston Martin for the 2023 season, the Alpine team moved quickly to take up a contract that it believes it has with its reserve driver Piastri. It made the announcement on Tuesday afternoon, the day after learning that Alonso would be leaving at the end of the season. However, Piastri took to social media a few hours after Alpine's announcement to insist that he had not signed anything with the team and would not be racing for it in 2023. I understand that without my agreement, Alpine F1 have put out a press release late this afternoon that I am driving for them next year. This is wrong, and I have not signed a contract with Alpine for 2023. I will not be driving for Alpine next year. His remarks are believed to be in response to a push by Piastri and his management to secure a seat at McLaren for next year. There have been rumors that the youngster has a pre-contract with McLaren, which means that if his options at Alpine expire, he will commit to joining the working base team. This is widely assumed that as part of his long-term contract with Alpine, Alpine had to guarantee Piastri an F1 race seat for 2023 by a certain date in order for him to remain under contract, with multiple reports suggesting that the infamous deadline was firmly set for July 31st. The key question now is whether such a date came into play and whether Alpine's rights lapsed during that time period. Despite Piastri's statement and his clear belief that he will not be racing for it in 2023, Alpine is adamant that its contract is legally binding. It means that if a dispute arises between Piastri and another team, it may have to be resolved by Formula One's Contracts Recognition Board. The body, made up of independent lawyers who will then go over the terms of Piastri's contracts and decide who has the rights to him for next year. It's the path Jenson Button took in 2004 to get out of his BAR Honda contract and join Williams, a situation that has some obvious parallels to Piastri's and includes a common person, Otmar Szafnauer, who was working at Honda at the time. Speaking ahead of the Piastri's announcement on Tuesday, team supervisor Otmar Szafnauer stated that Alpine had no doubts about retaining his services for next year. "We do have the right to take him," he said. "We have priority." The extraordinary events involving Alpine Jr. Oscar Piastri appears to confirm McLaren's intention to replace one Australian, Daniel Ricciardo, with another. It is the only logical conclusion. McLaren is the only available team capable of enticing Piastri and his management. McLaren CEO Zak Brown appears to be playing chicken with his star driver, waiting for him to walk away from his contract so he doesn't have to pay a hefty penalty for breaking it before it expires at the end of 2023. Ricciardo has exit clauses in his contract, but the 8-time race winner appears unwilling to fall on his sword to get Brown out of a legal bind. According to multiple sources, Piastri has signed a contract with McLaren. Although the exact terms of that agreement are unknown at this time, Brown is believed to be determined to get him into the team's race car. And Piastri's announcement that he will not race at Alpine in 2023 demonstrates that he sees his future with McLaren rather than Alpine. Piastri's tweet drew a lot of attention for a driver who hasn't even driven a Formula One car during a Grand Prix weekend yet, which speaks volumes about how highly regarded the 21-year-old is. Piastri, the Formula 2 champion, has a stellar junior record and is regarded as the best graduate from F1's feeder series since the class of 2019, George Russell, Lando Norris, and Alex Albon. However, his Formula 1 experience is limited to testing F1 cars, the majority of which was paid for by Alpine. The French manufacturer recently announced a 5,000-kilometer testing program, which is still in progress. Of course, whether McLaren can even get Piastri remains to be seen, with Alpine clearly willing to fight to keep their prodigy at the team and driving for them in 2023, regardless of how badly the events of the last few days have soured relations between the two parties. Whatever happens, McLaren's position appears to be clear, and it's difficult to see how their relationship with Ricciardo will progress beyond this point. To be honest, the way Brown and McLaren have treated Ricciardo over the last 6 months reflects very poorly on them. Ricciardo, the only McLaren driver to win an F1 race since 2012, has been the first to admit that his performances have not been up to the standards he set at Red Bull and Renault, but it appears that he has been used as a scapegoat to divert attention away from the team's deeper issues. Other narratives in 2022, such as Mercedes' violently bouncing car or regular Ferrari capitalizations, have shifted focus away from the fact that McLaren has been one of the season's most disappointing stories. The team began the year promising a return to the front of the grid, an opportunity provided by a significant technical rule change, but has fallen far short of what they had promised for 2022. While Ferrari, with whom McLaren fought for third in last year's championship, has jumped to the front of the pack with their new car this year. The British team has floundered in the same no man's land it found itself in last year, and is locked in a battle for fourth with Alpine, some distance off Mercedes and even further off the lead pair. So while Ricciardo has struggled, and Norris, who is likely a generational talent but has yet to win a race, has been producing much better results in the other car, the bottom line is that McLaren has also underperformed. Given the gap to the front, it is reasonable to expect McLaren to remain in the midfield for another year or two. Replacing Ricciardo with another driver will not change that, especially one who will likely experience the growing pains that any rookie driver in F1 does. Ricciardo has a contract option to leave McLaren, and he could see that the seat Piastri does not want at Alpine is as good as a landing spot. However, as recent events have demonstrated, with Alpine losing Fernando Alonso to Aston Martin and potentially losing Piastri to McLaren, there are concerns about how well run the French team is and whether it will ever be more than a glorified midfield outfit. Alpine still believes that it has a valid contract with the youngster Australian to fill the seat vacated by Fernando Alonso. However, if Piastri wins any upcoming legal battle and ends up joining McLaren, Alpine will be forced to look elsewhere for a replacement. And if Ricciardo is released by McLaren to make way for Piastri, he will be one of the most appealing options in the market as a multiple race winner, despite his recent patchy form for the working outfit. The issue is that after being hired at a great expense by the then Renault organization to lead the team into the future, Ricciardo decided early in his second season in 2020 to jump ship and join McLaren for 2021. That decision was not well received in the Renault camp, and while the team management has changed, with Zafnauer and Laurent Rossi now in charge, it could still be an issue. Indeed, Renault Group boss Luca De Meo is said to be particularly irritated by Ricciardo's departure. However, when asked about Ricciardo, Zafnauer compared the situation to Alonso's ability to return to teams and insisted the priority was to find the right drivers to help the team with its 100 race plan to get to the front of the field. I mean, if you look at Fernando, for example, he comes and goes, and I think that happens to other drivers too, he said. And I don't think that's an issue at all. I think what we need to focus on is, like I say, the plans that we have for the next 89, 88 races. We've got to make sure that we complement that plan with the best driver that we can, and there are some options out there for us. And we put the best driver next to Esteban Ocon so we can move forward towards what we've been planning. So if McLaren is able to secure Piastri, Ricciardo may follow Alpine's lead, and no matter how chaotic the situation is, it may work out well enough for all parties involved. But what do you guys think? Will Daniel Ricciardo be pressured into leaving the McLaren seat up for Oscar Piastri? If so, do you think he will join Alpine? Let us know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. It helps us out a lot.